Hello and welcome. I am so glad you're here. I'm Beth, a creator-based coach with CMH Coaching for Life. I'm here today to help you and those you love create a life you feel grounded and at home in. Think of a life where you feel peace, love for those around you, and in a flow with just enough challenge to keep you happy and creating something wonderful. Sounds like magic, but it's not. You can create that life every single day. You can have a life full of love, excitement, hope, and creation. Our mission at CMH Coaching is to flood the earth with light through compassion, mindfulness, and hope. And I'm going to ask a favor of you. If you like what you see and hear today, think of someone you know that would enjoy and benefit from this message. Our mission is to flood the world with compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Share this with them. But for now, this is time just for you. So settle into whatever you're doing and enjoy this time with the girls, where we create that one awesome, amazing, perfect life every one of us is seeking.
You gotta watch your thinking. Watch your thinking. Watch your thinking.
Hello, 50/50 girls. It's great to see you. It's great to be here. I hope everybody had a beautiful Easter. It was great. Lots of great. Yeah, really awesome. We are back on our month of talking about perfect. And this week on the page, you'll notice all week long, we're doing what kind of perfectionist are you? So every day on the 50/50 page, there will be another little sketch of each of the different kinds of perfectionists. And there will be a link there so that you can go take the quiz if you want to. But today for our podcast, we're talking about, again, based on the CMH coaching book, creating your one awesome, amazing, perfect life. We're on the theme of perfect. And this week, we're going to talk about trying to get rid of perfectionism, or the idea that maybe perfectionism might not be the thing that you really want. And also about what it means to be whole and complete, or in other words, perfect. Things that really work for you in your life, things that might not work for you in your life, and to give you some tools to work with to make life better. So have you guys figured out what kind of perfectionist you are yet?
Mm-hmm. Well,
Can you tell us about?
Go ahead, Jen.
I took the quiz, and I was like, I saw myself in two areas. And so I kind of had it. I had an even thing in two areas. So I went back and I read that part of her book where she said you could be kind of a perfectionist contextually.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and went through those same questions as I looked at how I wanted me to be in my business. And then I went back and looked at it as I was just in my life outside of that. And they were completely different, but those elements were brought into each one of those. So in my business and my, I guess, educational learning part of my life, I'm very much the, oh my gosh, I just totally left my one. The one that you pegged me as, Beth. What was that again?
The procrastinator.
Perfectionist. Yes. Hello. But
Procrastinator perfectionist doesn't want to start until it's just the right time to start.
Absolutely. Yes.
Ducks in a row first. Yeah.
Exactly. But that's overwhelming, and because you can't foresee the future. You just can't for every contingency. And then in my life, I'm the messy perfectionist. So
I love that. Messy perfectionists are some of my favorite kinds because they just have all of these ideas all the time. Oh, we could do this.
We could do this. And we could do this.
And yes. And so we start on one and then get another idea and go off to something else.
And so I have to share something personal about that, which my husband just belly laughed because so my whole my craft and hand doing life has always been just very much like a squirrel. Like I get involved in something and I just love it, and then squirrel, and I have to get involved in something else. But what I come to find out is I will get doing something and I'm like, okay, I mastered the skill. I'm liking it, I'm done. And something else piques my interest. and I'm no longer interested in what I'm doing. But I still have like projects in those areas, and I still come back to them. But it's like I get off doing other things. So like years ago, my husband, he's like, Jen, we could make $1 million. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, we can open a store that I forgot what he called it, but it was like the next step store or something like that, where he's like, or the finisher store or whatever. He goes, because you start everything. And it would appeal to those people that can't get started on projects, but you can give it to them halfway done and then they can finish it.
That's actually a really good idea. Seriously, a really good idea.
A lot of people have a hard time starting. So yeah.
And I just laughed at that. So it's kind of like, he's like, so is this, whenever I get starting on something, he goes, so is this like one of those things that halfway done? And I'm like, no, we will finish this. I will finish this. So that is kind of our joke.
We had it with the family, and two of my kids, which are really close, two of them took the quiz, and just in a really wild way, they came out exactly the same.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the percentage, it was like 29% this and 31% this and 19% that. They were identical scores on both of them. It just really blew my mind. And I looked at them and I'm like, really, you guys? And they just looked at each other and shrugged. Yeah, that makes sense. We're the same person. Yeah, it was wild. What about you, Jaycine?
I haven't even taken the quiz yet. So I'm going to do that today. Yeah.
Or watch the posts this week and maybe figure it out from the posts and then take the quiz at the end of the week. That could be fun. See what you feel and then see what the quiz says. Find out the actor.
Yeah, it's funny. I went to take it and then I got interrupted with something else and then I just totally forgot about it.
And pay attention though, because when I was and that's why I took it in looking at my business and took it at looking at my life. Because as I was answering questions, I'd be like, well, I can either be this one or this one, depending on if I want to, because I would see myself doing that behavior in my business. I can see myself doing this behavior in my life. And so if it isn't like across the board on everything, maybe go back and take it in like, if I was looking at my business or if I was looking at my life, or as I'm looking at a mother, or if I'm looking at however, just however. So, and she
really good idea.
Yeah.
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 But there are some that I'm like, it doesn't matter what situation I'm in, I'm showing up this way, Yep.
Yeah.
Well, you may just get like so excited about starting the projects. That must be what fuels your fire, just to get it going. Where other people, like your husband was saying, it shuts them down because they can't get started.
Yeah.
Just having that start. Yeah. It's kind of cool how each of us is so different. Yeah.
You start to figure out what makes you tick.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just love that we're all different. All of those little nuances and quirks. I love that. And all together we make a beautiful whole. So there's a great quote about trying to get rid of perfectionism, which I just so resonated with. Let me read it to you and you tell me what you think. Trying to get rid of your perfectionism is like trying to get rid of the wind by whacking it with a broom.
That's good.
Right?
Good.
That's when I was thinking about it. I'm like, that's exactly right, because this is who I am. I mean, this is the way I see the world. It's just who I am, how I came. Now it's a matter of whether I'm being kind to myself and doing it well, or if I'm not, but I like things to be done as well as they can, and it's just that drive to make things better and to find meaning. But I have that picture of somebody running around whacking the wind with a broom to try and get rid of it. I mean, you can't. Yeah, the wind is just the wind. We are who we are. Do you believe that we are who we are? How does that sit with you?
Well, I think we do have innately who we are, but then I think some things can kind of be skewed a little bit by whatever experiences we've had in our life. They can either be intensified and kind of misdirected or whatever, or shut down, however, and that's kind of what I was looking at in the, reading this book. I actually felt good about the tendencies that I do have. to be a perfectionist in certain things, because she offers the understanding that it's not a bad thing.
It's not, you're not broken.
Yeah, maybe it's just kind of applied a little too intensely or in different ways, and let's just kind of like reframe it and adjust it, and then your superpower. So I'm all like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be finishing things. I know it, So I was just
because you can look at it from a more adaptive way, rather than from the old way that might not have been as adaptive for you. That might have been kind of maladaptive. Like you said, depending on your life circumstance and your beliefs and things you've worked. Yeah. What about you, Jaycine? How does that sit with you? The idea of you are who you are. It is just what it is.
Yeah. And I have a hard time with that. Like my husband, he was always this guy about there's 5 words. It is what it is. It is what, I guess that's 5 words.
5 words.
Counting, right?
Yeah.
Because he used to always say 5 words. And it used to make me so crazy because it was like, but I can change. Like there's opportunity to change and grow. This is I like what Jenn was saying is I have these tendencies, and if they're growth, and maybe I've taken it to the extreme. And just one of the thoughts that I had is when my boys were teenagers, they're only 14 months apart. And so as they're teenagers, they're going like crazy. I'm working full time. I'm also an early morning seminary teacher for our church 5 days a week. And I have a daughter that is in elementary school and just barely. And just, I love my house clean. And so we're trying to go to sports. And I literally got to the point where I was that person that everything had a place and it was clean all the time. And we were we were always gone at Brandon's events, Tyler's events, Jess's events. And it was just, there were some things and it started to just physically eat me up because I'm like, I can't get it all done. There's just no way to get it all done. And it was making me crazy. And so I had taken it to an extreme where, it was like, okay, well, what is okay to let go? Your house doesn't have to be perfect, right? You don't have to have the perfect meal that has, X amount of carbs, X amount of, all of these things that in my brain, I was saying, well, this is perfect. I have to have the perfect life. This is the.
That's not what perfectionist is, right?
No, that's insanity.
Yeah.
God was trying to teach me a lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just like,
okay, it's a growth process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let it go. Let it go. What can you let go? So that's been an interesting process. And that was the start of my process. It's an ongoing process. Mm-hmm.
It is. It's a growth mindset. It's not a fixed mindset. That idea of it is what it is. Well, it is what it is, but it can be modified, right? We can grow through it, and we want to take the best of what's offered and leave behind what doesn't serve us. However,
but also, sorry,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
Also,
go ahead.
That it is what it is to a perfectionist. Sometimes we need to learn that it's okay. It is what it is. And we have to kind of let go that control part of it and say, okay, it's, that change that perception that, it is okay to accept it this way.
Mm-hmm.
And I still struggle with
of the adaptive state. Yeah. That's really what the adaptive state is you want it perfect number of carbs, perfectly clean counters. You want it, but then you're willing to recognize that it could be growth to have it, to adapt and be in that adaptive state.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I also wanted to be at my kids' functions, and I wanted to be fully present for them, and I wanted to be involved in them, and I wanted, right?
We all do. Yeah, we all do. It's true. Well, in that adaptive state, let me just tell you some cool stats. Adaptive perfectionists are much more likely to be in a flow state in the course of their day. those I love. Have you guys ever experienced that flow state?
Oh yeah.
It's like a happy place. What's it feel like for you when you're in flow state?
It's almost like I'm very aware and I'm very with it, but it's almost like automatic. It's like, it's just like, it is just happening and I am in it and we're just doing it.
Yeah. It's just so effortless, right?
Yes.
And you're just, you're doing whatever you're doing. What about Jaycine? You sounded like you had something to say.
Yeah, no, just effortless was the word I was thinking. It's just such a flow that, and I think about with running or with surfing, it's that same thing. When you get in that flow, it's not work anymore. It's
just flow. It's so like when you're really riding the top of the wave and you're just in Zen place, and seems to be suspended, right? In flow state, and it's really intense, but it's effortless all at the same time. That's when we figure out the adaptations that we need. We can be in that state much more often. Other things for adaptive perfectionists, you'll love this. They have higher self-regard, higher levels of work engagement. These are all reasons for us to learn to adapt, right? We have greater psychological well-being, lower levels of perceived failure. And I love the word perceived, because we may have been 100% successful in what we did, but we perceive it as a failure because we're not adapting, or we're seeing ourselves in a negative light in some way, being too picky.
I think that part, that perceived failures is someone that's adaptive perfectionist is seeing it as that stepping stone, and they're learning and they're growing to become what they want to eventually become. So they see every little failure as an opportunity to grow and a lesson, instead of just falling flat on their face and never getting up.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's play with that for a minute then. Let's do maladaptive and adaptive approaches to a few things. Okay, so you just brought up, I brought up doing, like, let's say we did a piano recital and we played the piano. And we got 2/3 of the way through the piece and we messed up and we had to start again. Adaptive, maladaptive. What would you think? The thought process.
That's maladaptive. To me, that's maladaptive, because so what? You messed up. Just keep going.
So the maladaptive approach would be, good for me. I sat here and I did this and I learned it and I learned so much and it was great. And the maladaptive would be, boy, you just really hosed that. That was terrible.
So now you have to start over. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Let's play with a couple of other ones.
Well, and I don't know, as you were talking about that, I was just like going, because I used to be that maladaptive and I used to just berate myself. I mean, and it was like, even with things I said, or I wasn't perfect enough in that social situation, things like that. And it's like, when I started to learn about mindful self-compassion and having the compassion for myself, to, the permission to like be human, make mistakes. And that really shifted that part of my perfectionism of like, you know what? So you showed up wrong. Laugh it off.
You still showed up.
Yeah. And I had this one experience where it was the time when all I'm a craft snob. My crafts have to be Martha Stewart, quality. But it drove me crazy at times.
Yep.
And one of my first experiences, I was like doing this like perfectionism stuff and everything, and like trying to understand it and everything, is I made this Christmas monogrammed berry wreath type thing to hang on my door. Man, it was going to be beautiful against my black door because of the red berries. It was a big D, blah, 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 everything. It was the ugliest thing I have ever made. And I sat there and laughed, belly laughed for probably like 15 minutes. I'm like, I dare myself to hang this on my door. Oh my God. I did for like 5 minutes and I was like, I just got to come down. But it was like, it was the first time that I had like let myself be less perfect and not berate myself. Instead, just laughed at the complete ugliness that this was. So
look at the lesson. Look at the lesson there. That's amazing.
I don't know if all of a sudden something stepped in because they're like, she's gonna lose it, or it was just like, I I think it just had to be so completely opposite and ugly that I just had to have I mean, it was like, it looked like a 2-year-old had done it. You know, it was just like so funny. But anyway.
Oh my gosh.
That is
So let
awesome.
ugly happen and laugh about it.
That's great.
Yeah. Humor is such a beautiful gift. All right, that was a great adaptive, but what could the maladaptive experience with that craft project have been?
A total meltdown, throwing it across the room, telling myself I was worthless. I'd never make anything, you know, and just all that horrible stuff that you say to yourself, and then maybe never picking it up and doing anything ever again.
Right. Just taking in the thought, well, I'm just not a craft person.
Yeah.
You miss out on all the joy going forward, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. By just that willingness is huge.
And that's interesting because that's funny as you're saying that, like some of the thoughts that would have gone through my mind is, look at all that money I just wasted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all that money. Look at all that money I just wasted. Look at all that time I just wasted. What a waste of my time. Yeah.
I can't let anybody know that it turned this way, you know, or something like that.
Yeah, it's shame. Let's bring shame into it while we're doing it, right?
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm no good at it. Instead of I made an ugly craft project, we just bring the whole thing in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the adaptive perfectionism is liberating and peaceful and empowering. And it feels just so free when you can get right, especially after years of being self-critical. It can make a huge difference. All right, so I wanted to run this past you. To be in a more adaptive state as a perfectionist, maybe even test as a perfectionist, but just to be in a more adaptive state as we're growing, what do you think of asking yourself a few questions? Maybe when you had the thought about the big black D. I just really love that story. That's a great story. The thought that you had, the first thought could have been, is it true? When you were saying, this is so ugly. I can't believe this is so ugly.
Right?
It was true, right? Right. So, and we're going to work with these 3 questions for a little bit. So yeah, it was true, but is it kind? That's the second question. No, it wasn't kind. And is it helpful? Was it a helpful question? No, but your secondary questions that you used were kind and were helpful. Take us through that. Okay, so this is so ugly. Yeah, it's true. Is it kind? What did you choose instead?
Well, when it was ugly, so that's the truth. I couldn't find
that was just the truth. It was ugly.
It was. In fact, it became kind of a joke that it was fugly. You know, it was like, you know, it became a joke and everything. But I don't know. So what? That's kind of what came out of it. So what? You know,
so what? And so what you did was you did the, is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? And then you just go back and choose another thought, right? You chose so what?
I think the absurdity of I think possibly what I was feeling was like, it is so ugly, but I was so invested and I wanted to be so perfect. And that's what was where the humor was. And I think humor just helped me to understand that I was in this mess of all those feelings and it was kind of absurd. So just, it was ugly.
I bet it was a great flow state while you were in it, man. I'll bet it was great. And for that, it was a success. You really enjoyed your flow state.
Well, you know what it did? It helped me to understand that it doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't matter the outcome. Just that you're creating something.
Yes. There's a quote that I was going to share. It's being in the game is the prize.
Yeah.
It's just being in the game, having the flow state, making the project, being in the game. That's the prize.
Because it was enjoyable until the end, maybe probably a little bit before the end when I realized this is just not coming together.
But then it was enjoyable at the end after you rerouted.
Yeah, exactly. But because you kind of like when you're in that, you're in the season, you're creating, you have your carols going, and you're probably having a hot chocolate or something. It's just a whole experience, And then to have it you thinking in your mind perfectly, like this Hallmark movie, that it's all going to turn out perfect in the end. And then you hold up this thing that is just, I don't think it had these berries that you're supposed to like, glue on it. And it's a flat D. I don't even think it resembled a letter D after. So it was just like, it was hilarious. It was so funny. It was fugly. Yeah.
And the real gift is the lesson, right? Look for the lesson every single time. Oh, I've loved this. It's been so good. Let's talk about, is there anything else you want to talk about the perfectionist state before we move on? We talk about, because this has been fun. That just feels great. I will never unsee your D. That was the best.
I didn't keep it. I wish I'd taken a picture of it so you all could just laugh your heads off, but just think about where you couldn't even tell it was a D. It was just like, it's just funny. It was funny. And of course I had the perfect, Pinterest picture, that it was supposed to turn out to be. But what I loved about the book, and this is the other thing that I am shifting in my thinking and in my words, is she brings out how perfectionists have a very negative, bad connotation. It's like
people think it's terrible to be a perfectionist. It is. If you just do a Google search, perfectionist, you'll get the first 15 headings will all be how to recover, how to stop,
how to stop, how to heal. And I was like,
it's supposed to be a broken state.
Exactly. And that's how I used to view it until I started reading this book. And I'm like, I always felt like something I had to root out of myself. And I'm like, I can't. So I must be a failure, all that stuff and everything. And so when I was reading her book, I started to realize, no, I just got to make it adaptive. And I have the tools. And she also gives you a lot of really good tools to help you understand that. And that it is something, gosh, when I get that changed in my, in those certain areas in my life, man, you watch out, And so I am changing how I talk about it. I refuse to call myself a recovering perfectionist. I don't want to recover. No.
I just want to work with my thoughts.
Yeah.
And I want to have self-compassion.
Yeah. And I might even say I'm an adaptive perfectionist. And so I'm seeing it differently, and I'm vocalizing it differently. So
it's exciting.
It is exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting to see. So the questions to look at: is it true? Lots of times the thought's not true, right? We start thinking some kind of self-critical statement, and it's not true. Is it kind, and is it helpful? If you can't pass those tests, just let it go. Down the river of thought. It's not yours. Just let go of it and choose another thought that's better. Yeah. It's so worth it. Perfectionist, non-perfectionist, it doesn't really matter. But a perfect life is a wholehearted life. It's remembering you're whole, you're complete. That's the definition of perfect, which means you are perfect exactly where you are right now, exactly where you're supposed to be. It's just a very liberating, wonderful thought. Yeah. Is it kind? Is it true? Is it helpful? You're already perfect, just like that newborn babe, right? One of my favorite songs by Karen Drucker is "I Will Be Gentle with Myself." And she sings, "I will be gentle with myself, and I will love myself and hold myself like a newborn baby child," which is the ultimate self-compassion, right? But the chorus is, "And I will only go as fast as the slowest part of me wants to go." Now, what would it be like to live a life where you're only in your self-compassion and your self-care, only going as fast as the slowest part of you wants to go? And the thoughts that come up around that, are they true? Are they kind? Are they helpful? There's a whole nother layer of project to work on, right?
That is so good.
Yeah, I love Karen Drucker. She's amazing. All right, so let's just talk about what's going on this week at CMH Coaching. Tomorrow is Coaching Clear, and we are just 2 weeks away from our free Coaching Clear evening class, which is going to be so cool, where you get to come and learn about Coaching Clear. We set it in the evening, especially for the women who can't be there during the day. It's going to be 7 o'clock on the 1st of May. And we're going to answer the questions: what is it? What do I get? And why should I care? I mean, why should you even want to do this, right? Come to the class. It's going to be just wonderful. You can sign up on our webpage, cmhcoaching.com. It's easy pie. There's a pop-up come up. It's super easy to be done. So we have Coaching Clear tomorrow, and it's going to be wonderful. And then Wednesday we have book club. Jaycine, fill me in on book club. What are y'all doing?
We have book club. Yes. So we are discussing chapters 2 and 3 this week of Atlas of the Heart by Brene Brown. And
I heard you really had some interesting conversation last week about the difference between envy and jealousy.
We did
talk about that.
Yeah. It's the book club is just a great place to be. We're all reading the same information, and we all see things differently. And that's the beauty of being human, right? Is being able to see things differently and then go and listen to other people's perspectives. And we can either relate to it or say, oh, wow, that's really cool. I never thought of that, but or it gives us opportunity for pause, to just pause and, how do I really feel about that? Yeah. So anyway, it's really good. Yeah.
Well, and we had Jumpstart on Saturday. Jenn gave us an amazing, amazing class on working with difficult emotions using essential oils and learning about those. I wish I could just have stayed there. It was so good. And she had so many, we all had our oils, and she took us through 4 or 5 of the oils, which interestingly were oils for compassion, oils for mindfulness, and oils for hope, which were really neat. But then she taught us about what each one did and why it worked that way and how we could use them going forward. So thank you. That was amazing. We got another one coming up, the 6th of May, the first Saturday of May, called Did You Know Your Body Can Talk? And we're not talking about your mouth here.
Or your brain.
Yeah. You want to tell us some about that, about what that will be like?
Well, still gathering it together. But a lot of it is just about how if we tune in and pay attention to what our body is telling us through whether pain or sensations or feelings, we can understand a little at a deeper level kind of what it's trying to tell us. But then also there are some techniques and tools we can use to actually ask questions of our body to have a better understanding of what it needs, what it doesn't need, and maybe what it's trying to guide us towards. I mean, to me, I feel like our body is an instrument to walk through this life. And if we're more aware of how the nuances of what it is telling us and how we use it, we can possibly avoid certain difficulties, and we can actually, I believe, have a better relationship with our body. So
yeah, quite often we can be a lot healthier.
Oh yeah,
by honoring that body talk. That's really important.
Yeah, because we are body, mind, and soul. We are, and it's all connected. Nothing lives in isolation. It's all connected. And so, in understanding something about the body, we can understand something deeper about ourselves, and vice versa. So,
yeah. And you'll come away with a deeper understanding of your body and some new tips and tricks for how to be healthier and more at peace, because there are lots of ways that you can work with your body and have a more peaceful, more optimistic life. Really good. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. I think that's everything we've got, but we hope to see everybody on the 50/50 page and at Coaching Clear, and then in a few weeks at our Jumpstart. Oh, and don't forget book club. It'll be great to see you. But keep working with your questions. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it helpful? And we'll talk about more in A Perfect Life next week. Thanks, you guys.
I can choose to be happy, choose to be free, moment by moment. It's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring about. That's the way it is, and there is no doubt. Day by day, I pave the way with every little thought I think.
joining us today in A Creator-Based Life. I hope you felt that compassion, mindfulness, and hope you came seeking today. You can find more of it at cmhcoaching.com or on linktree/cmhcoaching. Of course, any social media outlet, we're there too. Because you felt the benefit and light in this message, please invite those you care deeply about to join us. Help us to create a ripple effect across the globe of compassion, mindfulness, and hope. Then we can create a creator-based life together. Have a great week, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Moment by moment, it's all up to me, 'cause what I think about, I bring